discover the proven science behind workplace happiness, mental well-being, and life satisfaction. Through research, I have been exploring evidence-based strategies from leading psychologists and neuroscientists and performance coaches. Keep watching to the end and you'll learn some strategies to manage this. For instance, how to boost employee engagement, how to reduce workplace stress and create positive psychology. This during International Week of Happiness at Work from October the 6th to the 12th, 2025. Welcome to Peace Unplugged. Today's episode is on the science of happiness. That's a topic that's never been more relevant than today as we approach International Week of Happiness at Work. Whether you're an employee like I was feeling burned out, or a manager that's seeking to boost the team, or simply someone who just wants a bit more joy in life. In this episode, through the research I've done, I'll share some science-based tools to transform your relationship with happiness. Today we'll explore insights from leading experts like Dr. Russ Harris, creator of acceptance and commitment therapy, Tony Robbins, the renowned peak performance coach, along with groundbreaking research from positive psychology pioneers and neuroscientists who've dedicated their careers to understanding what truly makes us happy. And bear with me as I attempt to pronounce some of the very complicated names I've researched. So part one of this, the happiness paradox. Let's start with a counterintuitive truth that Dr. Russ Harris brilliantly illuminates in his work on acceptance and commitment therapy. Harris argues that our pursuit of happiness is the very thing that makes us unhappy. In his book, The Happiness Trap, Harris explains that we chase positive feelings and try to eliminate negative ones. We create what he calls experiential avoidance. That's a pattern that actually increases our suffering. Harris writes about how our minds evolved to spot dangers and problems, not to make us happy. This served our ancestors well when survival was paramount. But in modern life, it often leaves us stuck in cycles of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. The solution? Rather than chasing happiness, Harris advocates for psychological flexibility, the ability to be present with whatever we're feeling while taking action aligned with our values. Now, here I'm going to refer to a previous podcast that I made. That was called Unblocking the Mystery of Our Gut Instincts. It's where I talked for a little while about values and how we can identify what those values are. So I recommend you check that out. This connects perfectly to workplace happiness. Many organizations make the mistake of trying to eliminate all stress and try to create happy environments. But Harris would suggest that meaningful work often involves discomfort, challenge, and difficult emotions. You see, the goal isn't to feel good all the time. It's to create workplaces where people can pursue what matters to them, even when it's hard. Now, I would argue that without the experience of discomfort and challenge, we would not know what happiness is. The issue here is trying to achieve balance. Okay, so now on to part two, the neuroscience of peak states. Now let's shift to the easily pronounceable Tony Robbins and his perspective on happiness and peak performance. Now, Robbins has coached millions of people, Olympic athletes, Fortune 500 chief executives, and his approach focuses on the power of state management and physiology. My favorite of his models is the 6 human needs in psychology, those being certainty. That's assurance that we can avoid pain and gain pleasure. It gives a sense of comfort. Next, paradoxically, is uncertainty, or sometimes described as variety. That's the need for the unknown. Without it, we become bored and will likely become unmotivated, ultimately become unhappy. Next is significance. That's a sense of feeling unique, important, special, or needed. Being acknowledged, we know that we are alive. Then there is connection and love, a strong feeling of closeness or union with someone or something. We are, after all, social beings. Without connection and communication, we're likely to become severely mentally unwell. This, of course, is proven by the history of what happens to people in solitary confinement. Next is growth, an expansion of capacity and capability. This is where we gain wisdom. Lastly, there is contribution, that sense of service and the focus on helping people, giving support to others. This, of course, provides our motivation to live. Robbins emphasizes that happiness isn't just a mental state, it's deeply connected to our physical body. He teaches that by changing our posture, breathing, and movement patterns, we can instantly change our emotional state. This isn't just motivational speaking, it's backed up by neuroscience. Research shows that embodied cognition, the mind body connection, significantly influences our emotions and decision making. So here's an example. Try walking down the road with a quiet confidence, head held high. Give it a try and you'll find actually that people will communicate with you in a more positive fashion. Alternatively, if we walk down the road looking distracted, unperturbed, staring at the ground, looking vulnerable, you'll notice the majority of people will just ignore us. In some cases, we might even get attacked. Try this. Observe how people choose to ignore a homeless person sitting on the street. You'll notice that people walk on by as almost an unconscious response. There are sometimes people that do notice homeless people and go up and approach them and speak with them, but the vast majority will walk on by. Returning to Tony Robbins, he also speaks extensively about the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. He says you can achieve extraordinary success in your career, but he argues that without fulfillment, that deeper sense of meaning, contribution, then you'll remain unhappy. Again, I'm going to refer to another podcast that I made called From Chaos to Calm, Powerful Ways to Feel Peace Every Day. This is where I spoke with Curtis Rivers, whose career involved being a stuntman on many major films and TV programs and made him a lot of money. Check it out. I think you'll find it interesting. So what we're doing here is finding fulfillment aligned with our personal values. This is crucial to workplace happiness. Organizations can't just focus on productivity metrics. They must help employees find purpose and meaning in their work. For the International Week of Happiness at Work, Robbins would likely encourage both individuals and organizations to ask, what are we contributing and who are we becoming in the process? These questions shift happiness from a destination to a byproduct of growth and of service. Now let's lead on to part 3, positive psychology revolution. No conversation about happiness is complete without discussing the positive psychology movement. Dr. Martin Seligman. Believe me, it gets harder pronouncing these names. So here comes the next one. Also researchers like Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky. See, I told you it was difficult to pronounce. Interestingly, Lyubomirsky is a Russian name that means love and peace. Dr. Lyubomirsky's research reveals that approximately 50% of our happiness is determined by genetics. That's 10% by circumstances and 40% by intentional activities and mindset. The 40% is where we have power to create change. Her work identifies specific evidence-based practices that consistently boost well-being. So here's the happiness activities that she recommends. Practice gratitude regularly. Nurture social connections. Engage in acts of kindness. One of my favorites. Savor positive experiences. Set and pursue meaningful goals. Develop optimistic thinking patterns. Practice forgiveness. Increase flow experiences. We'll come to flow later on. Care for your physical health. And of course, another of my favorites is develop mindfulness practices. What's particularly relevant for workplace happiness is that these just aren't individual practices. Organizations can build them into their culture. Companies that implement gratitude practices create opportunities for meaningful connection and help employees find flow in their work. They'll see consistent improvements in both well-being and productivity. Okay, so what is flow in work? Which leads us into part 4, the science of flow and engagement. Right, wait for it. Here we go. Csikszentmihalyi, I think I pronounced that correctly, a Hungarian whose groundbreaking work on flow, that's those moments when we're completely absorbed in challenging, meaningful activities, provides crucial insights for workplace happiness. He says, flow occurs when the challenge of a task perfectly matches our skill level. Too easy, and we get bored. Too difficult, that just creates anxiety. But then there's a sweet spot. When that happens, you'll notice that time disappears, self-consciousness fades, and ultimately we experience deep satisfaction. Research shows that people who regularly experience flow report higher life satisfaction, creativity, and resilience. The workplace application is clear. Organizations should design roles that stretch employees' abilities without overwhelming them, provide clear goals and immediate feedback, and minimize distractions that prevent deep work. I reflect on this now, realizing how my work life and the environment I was in over a period of years drifted from my values, particularly as the job itself changed in many ways. This flow concept connects job crafting, researched by Dr. Amy, here we go, Vishnayevsky at Yale. I might got that one right, actually. Employees who actively reshape their work to align with their strengths, interests, and values report significantly higher happiness and engagement, even in seemingly mundane jobs.
So, how was your day?
Not bad.
Now moving on to part 5, social connection and belonging. Harvard's long-running study on happiness, spanning over 80 years, led by Dr. Robert Waldinger, reveals one overwhelming conclusion. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier. It's not wealth, fame, or achievement that predicts well-being. It's the quality of our relationships. This is one of my favourite quotes. The incredibly famous rock singer Freddie Mercury from the band Queen. He rarely gave television interviews, but on his final interview in 1987, he said, "You can have everything in the world and still be the loneliest man. And that is the most bitter type of loneliness." He said, "Success has brought me world idolization and millions of pounds, but it prevented me from having the one thing we all need, a loving, ongoing relationship." People who feel connected to family and friends, the community, are much more satisfied. Their brains stay sharper longer. They live longer than their isolated peers. Workplace happiness. This research is transformative. The quality of our relationship with our colleagues, managers, and teams dramatically impacts on our satisfaction at work. Companies that foster genuine connection, psychological safety, and a collaborative culture don't just only see improved morale, they see better business outcomes. Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability and belonging reinforces this. Her work shows that authentic connection requires us to be willing to be seen, to take emotional risks, and to create an environment where people can bring their whole selves to work. Brown argues that belonging is essential to happiness, but true belonging requires courage, the courage to be authentic rather than just fitting in. Moving on to part 6, purpose, meaning, and values. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, taught us through his harrowing experience, endure, that humans can endure almost anything if they have a sense of meaning. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, argues that the primary human drive isn't pleasure, as Sigmund Freud suggested, or power, as Adler proposed, it's meaning. This insight is profound to workplace happiness. Gallup's research consistently shows that employees who understand how their work contributes to something larger than themselves report higher engagement, lower burnout, and greater job satisfaction. Simon Sinek's work on Stay With Why extends this principle to organizational culture. Companies that clearly articulate their purpose and connect daily work to that larger mission create environments where people thrive. It's not just enough to tell employees what to do or how to do it. They need to know why it matters. Referring back to Dr. Russ Harris, he would add that values, freely chosen, directions that we want to move to in life, are central to psychological well-being. When our daily actions align with our deepest values, whether that's in creativity, service, learning, or connection, we experience a vitality and a satisfaction even during those difficult times. Part 7. Practical strategies for International Week of Happiness at Work. As we approach the Week of Happiness at Work on October the 6th, 2025, here's some evidence-based strategies. First for individuals and then for organizations. Number 1, start with gratitude practice. Write down 3 things you appreciate each morning. Dr. Lyubomirsky's research shows that this simple habit significantly boosts well-being. Number 2, graft your job. Identify ways to align your daily tasks with your strengths and your values, even in small ways. Number 3, build micro connections. Brief, genuine interactions with your colleagues. Dr. Wallinger's research shows that even small social moments matter. Number 4, practice diffusion. Use Dr. Harris's ACT technique. That means when negative thoughts arrive, notice them as mental events rather than as facts. Say, I'm having that thought rather than accepting the thought as a reality. Number 5, find your flow. Identify tasks that fully absorb you and create more opportunities for that work. Number 6, move your body. Tony Robbins is right here. Physiology affects psychology. So take movement breaks, adjust your posture, and breathe deeply. Okay, so let's move on to organizations. Number 1, clarify purpose. Help every employee understand how their role contributes to the organization's mission. Number 2, create psychological safety. Following Brené Brown's research, build a culture where people can take risks. That means making mistakes and being authentic. Number 3, design for flow. Match task difficulty with skill levels. Provide clear goals. Offer immediate feedback and protect deep work time. Number 4, foster connection. Create opportunities for genuine relationship building, not just network. Number 5, recognize contributions. Regular specific appreciation activates reward centers in the brain and strengthens relationships. Number 6, support autonomy. Self-determination theory, developed by Desai, I think it's pronounced, and Ryan, show that autonomy, competence, and relatedness are fundamental to human motivation and well-being. Number 7, invest in growth. Provide learning opportunities that help employers develop mastery and pursue meaningful challenges. So now we move to part 8 of this podcast, the sustainable happiness model. Let's address a critical question. Can happiness initiatives create lasting change, or are they just temporary mood boosters? Research by Dr. Laurie Santos, who teaches Yale's most popular course on happiness, reveals that sustainable well-being requires consistent practice, not one-time interventions. Her work emphasizes that knowing what makes us happy isn't enough. We must build habits and systems that support well-being over time. This is where International Week of Happiness at Work becomes more than just a feel-good initiative. It's an opportunity to launch sustainable practices that continue long after the weekends. This is key from awareness to action to habit. Dr. B.J. Fogg's behavior change and research at Stanford shows that tiny habits, small, specific behaviors tied to existing routines, are far more effective than ambitious resolutions. Want to boost workplace happiness? Start with micro practices. A 2-minute gratitude reflection at the start of team meetings. And these need to be genuine. Make it a brief recognition moment before diving into business, or perhaps a daily question about values and alignment. So as we draw to a conclusion here, the happiness choice. As we've explored today, happiness isn't just a simple emotion to be pursued or a destination to be reached. It's complex in meaning, connection, growth, and presence. The experts we've discussed, Dr. Russ Harris's emphasis on values and acceptance, to Tony Robbins' focus on state and contribution, to positive psychology researchers revealing what actively protects well-being, all point towards a clearer understanding of human nature. International Week of Happiness at Work, beginning October the 6th, offers a perfect moment to reflect on these insights and commit to meaningful change. Whether you're implementing these practices as an individual or transforming your organization's culture, remember that sustainable happiness comes from alignment between our values and actions, between challenge and skill, between individual needs and collective purpose. The beautiful truth emerging from decades of research is that happiness isn't just a personal benefit, it's also practical. Happy employees are more creative, productive, and collaborative, and resilient. Organizations that prioritize genuine well-being don't sacrifice performance, they enhance it. So as I close today's episode, I invite you to ask yourself, Dr. Harris's question. What do you want to stand for in life? What matters to you deep down? Then ask the Tony Robbins question. How can I contribute? How can I grow? And finally, consider positive psychology research. What small evidence-based practice can I start today? Happiness isn't something that just happens to us. It's something that we create through conscious choice, meaningful connections, and alignment with what matters most. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this episode, please share it with somebody who might find it a benefit. Let's make October the 6th, 2025, a time to begin lasting transformation in the workplace as well as in everyday life. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember, happiness is not a trap to avoid. It's a skill to develop.